Okay, good morning, afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I'm your humble host, Mr. David Knoll, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers, and I greet you with the love and the honor of the infinite creator. And I continue to pray that each and every day, each and every one of you will learn to accept and receive the healings, the knowledge, and the wisdom from the universe. And I greet you with all the happiness and joy that you can take in at this time. And hi, Miss Tribal, thank you very much. Um, this is a video that the spirits are kicking my rear end right now to have this conversation, and it's one that I was real hoping that I wouldn't have to do, but circumstances deem, because when spiritual paths are being manipulated, whether on purpose or not, somebody's got to be the grown up in the room and go, hey, just a minute here. Are you sure of the path that you're choosing at the moment? Hi, Ian. How are you? Great to have you, Ian. Um, and out of respect for other people, but I need to talk about other people, but I'm not going to mention any names. But for those who are subscribers to this channel may know some of these other channels. One in particular, I'm very concerned about. And for those of you who have hung around me and know who Brian Barnett was of Milky Way, and you know that he recently passed away a few months ago, we had many discussions off camera about certain people and certain channels, a year and a half, almost going back 2 years. And we were very concerned about how some of these people were taking a different spiritual um, path, if you will, and that we were really kind of worried, and I still am, and continue to pray that these folks will have, will get a smack in the head and go, wait a minute, do you really know what you're doing here? So, what is the deceiver part about it is that it may be that it's their spiritual journey, like myself, that I'm sharing with you. But I'm always leaving it. We all have our own free will and choices. I try to, warn you off of certain things. Go ahead, try it, But if you really want it to move forward in your spiritual revolution, then there are certain things that you should just not do. Now, there are some folks who have been using reading out of the Satanic Bible and things like that, and trying to um, urge other people that, oh, this is okay. No, it's not. Let's be frank. Now, I spent some of my earlier years out of high school back when I was 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, in there back in the 70s, the early 70s. And I was curious about Satanism and demonology and so forth. And the University of South Florida in Tampa had a warlock professor, okay, that they hired on. And they actually had, I don't know if they still do, but they had classes in demonology. So anyone could go in and use the library. I just couldn't check anything out. And they had some very intense books on demonology, spells, witchcraft, Satanism. I was shocked. Now, this is 1971, okay? One of the reasons why I left the Tampa St. Pete area is because it was getting a really nasty reputation by people, folks that were more interested in the dark arts than anything else. And it included the Satanic Bible. So you say, now I got to say, as I was reading these things, now at some point I tried a couple of spells, okay, ain't gonna lie. But as I was doing it, I realized I'm making a huge mistake here. So in my own learning and process, Spirit said, you better put this shit down. You are on in an area you really don't want to go in. So over the years, you know what, so I put it down. I quit that, but I was still interested, so I was still reading things and trying to gain information. That was my, and I truly believe that was my quest. But as I was reading things about the subject, I realized that by reading what this spell was, I was actually saying it because I was repeating it in my head. I was reading the lines. So I was, whether I verbalized it or said it out loud during some kind of incantation or a spell with candles or whatever, as I was reading it, I was performing that ritual, unbeknownst to me, simply by reading the words. And I realized a long time ago, stuff like that is very dangerous. So, excuse me. Hi, everybody. There are certain subjects that are being broached in um, the name of spirituality. Well, there's sex magic, and then there's this kind of magic, and there's that kind of magic. Oh, stop it. Because anybody who wants to use the word magic all the time is into a different perception of the true higher sense of spirituality. Because shamans, they do ceremonies, and some would say they do magic, but it's not the same. It is not the same. You give honor to the spirits. There is no sacrifice of any kind. There are offerings of tobacco and cornmeal and sage, but to try to invoke a spirit, especially anything that's related to Satan. I mean, can we talk here? I have to say, my friends, beware, because there are deceivers amongst us. And I'm not sure that they know that they are deceivers. But Brian and I and many other folks that I have chatted with, talked to, and observed are seriously afraid of the way certain folk are trying to convince others, their subscribers, that this is the way to go. And I have to be the grown up in the room. I'm sorry. I may piss some people off with this, but you must cease and desist, because any energy, and I mean, even hanging out in the chat room, Brian and I both pulled ourselves out because there were vibrations and things that really bothered us. And we discussed it off screen. But I have to tell you this, in some of the videos, if you've heard me talk about being in the middle of the road and getting stuck, and some people have turned around and gone the other direction, or, I've been talking about specific folk and specific channels who have just have done an about face as far as if you want to consider enlightenment, then you would not consider even touching, listening to, or participating with anyone who delves with the book of Satan or the Satanic Bible, whatever it is. Then you're starting to believe what Aleister Crowley was all about. And just do a little search about Aleister Crowley, and it was all about pleasure, and everything's for me. Well, if it feels good, do it. And if you want to do that, well, then go ahead. And it's like, well, wait a minute. No, there must be restraint. We should have a moral fiber, and that morality has gone out the window in a lot of ways. And so that, to discuss these things now with the quantum wave here and everything, it's got everybody agitated and in search of the truth. And there are folks who have been deceivers all along. And for whatever reason, they're pulling out their whole cards, if you know what I mean. And they're going, well, listen, I've been doing this, since I was 17. That's sort of a quote. And if you've been doing that since you were 17 and you're almost as old as I am, and now you want to convince folk that this is the way to higher spirituality and that it's okay to do these things and to include them, hang on. I'm not saying you should never have sex again. I may not, but the idea though, the magic should be there before the sex. I'm personally, but to use something like that is to instigate a totally different idea of spirituality, of enlightenment. Now, you have your own free choice to say, well, I think I'll go down this path and see where it leads me. That's your choice. And I would advise you, please think about it again, because in these forces, whether on purpose or not now, I must state that. But Brian and I discussed this in that any participation, and in many things, any participation with that type of energy, it steals from us. We're just observing. Yeah, well, I was just reading a book about demonology. That I was just reading. But then I realized by reading it, I was participating. In the quantum realm of things, we must expand our idea of spirituality. So if you say, well, here's this person talking about this sort of thing, do you really want to go there? Do you honestly even want to listen to 2 minutes of them? Why? Because your energy is now being converted, being used, being siphoned off, if you will. Whether intentionally or not, it's still being done because of the book, because of the words being spoken. Okay. And so if you're there, then in so many ways, you're part of a coven because you are participating. So I would like to explain to people, is that where, or broach the subject, is that where you honestly wish your energy to go? Are you sure that's the path you wish to go down? Because when you make that turn, it's a hard right turn or left turn, depending on, but it is not down the same path, the same red road as of indigenous folks and many other beliefs. It's not, okay? And in many ways, it's contrary to what the law of one, to do no harm, because in some of these practices, it's all about yourself. Now, yes, it's important that you keep your core values, but not to the point of being narcissistic and so selfish that only you matter. Is that really what you want? Okay. Folks who use the word God and goddesses, there is something that my spirit guide, I just get a really bad tingle down my spine. And I've mentioned this last night in a video, and I'll probably mention it again. People are taking this idea of God and goddess a little bit too far. Listen, we are all spiritual beings, period. Whether we're a god or a goddess or whatever, I might have been a female in a previous life, so I could have both. So I could be God, goddess, but the idea of using the word God infers that we are some type of particular being. I would rather be an angel and be a free spirit in the universe. And so in that, there are things that we create, all of us are creative in one way or another. Some people are good at cooking, and other folks sewing and hat making and whatever. But here's the bottom line in this. The energy that our participation on a quantum level in something just because we're curious can do harm. especially the more people who are involved. And you go, well, I'm trying to, pray against the dark side. Then why did you participate in that? Or why would you, I would withdraw from that. Why? Because I know from my own experience and from just my own experience with fooling around in the dark arts. And I'm so glad I did not go there. And so anything that leans towards that as being acceptable, please understand. In the true shaman way of thinking, no, no, please, please don't. I am worried for your soul. Do you hear me? I am worried for your soul because everything is in this strange, chaotic construct right now. We got to stick to who you are. Do you really need that? Do you want that? Is that really the path you want to be gone on? Or are you being deceived into believing that that it's okay? I'm asking you to stop and reconsider. Anyone who's trying to convince you that this is an okay thing, I will pray for your soul even harder, okay? Because it makes me weep, literally, to think that there are people who have that power over others. Now, my objective here and this channel and my mission here on this earth this time around is to be the communicator, is to help think of other ideas and different frames of mind. And it's not any one particular thing, but I can absolutely tell you that there are some bad ways you simply do not want to do. It's your free choice anyway. But I'm asking Creator to smile upon you and yours and anyone who's might be swayed in this direction to get out, take your energy out of it now. Why? Because as soon as you become aware of it and you make the choice to continue to participate, then you are willingly giving your energy to whatever entity or entities that are that are the deceivers. Do you understand? This is not a joke. I'm not playing around. You want to help the universe out? Then do not participate. You must stop, okay? I'm going to piss some folks off, but you have got to be grown up about this. There are brothers and sisters in our spiritual community, so to speak, who have just taken a wrong turn. This is nothing against them personally, but if you continue to pursue the path that they're on, I am seriously worried for your soul. Okay? And I don't talk about this in this depth like this. This is some serious stuff. Share this with your friends if you wish to. I don't ask many times for you to share a video. But if there are folks who are even reading these things, do they really intend to use it, or are they just curious? I understand. I was more of the curious type. But as being curious, I realized I was participating simply by reading the books on the subject, which included spells, which included this and that. And so you have to, on a quantum level, remove your energy from that type of source, because it can have a little snag in you that you don't think's there. Because you say, well, I don't know, about, Hawkeye talked about this, and I don't know, I'm a little in between about it. Okay, listen. It's not that I want to sway your opinion. I want you to stop and think and be a grown-up about what certain people are doing, how they're doing it, and how they're trying to convince you that it's okay. I'm listening to my spirit guide. This is a heavy subject. Now, I'm still praying for, it's more than one channel, but one in particular. I'm still praying for these folk that somehow the turn they made, whenever they made it, and for me and Brian, I'm telling you, we discussed this over a year ago, okay? And both of us had agreed. And I'm telling you, many of the videos that we did, and if you hear me talk about, being in the road and being stuck and turn around, I was talking about these particular people and their channels. And that it just seemed like they were dragging folks along in an unnecessary direction. And as these people have progressed and gained fortitude and whatever from their subscribers, then the tune has been steadily changing and morphing into this other subject, these other areas. And so deceivers are around us, and they are doing their best to steal our energy, to steal our souls. And I am warning you, beware. And don't just go, oh, this is just some ramblings. Stop and think about it. If you're here and you're listening, then what I want you to do is stop and think about what you're doing. Make sure you understand. Because if you could say, well, I listened to Mr. Dave and he talked about this, but yeah, I ain't trying to convince. I'm trying to teach you how to do natural ways of attaining meditation and enlightenment through nature and natural things. And I'm not telling you, there are books that I use as references, but I'm not telling you to go out and get some satanic Bible, or that we should read passages from certain things, especially when they are attached to dark arts. Oh my God, no. And if anything, I'm trying to speak on other enlightenment issues and how we are all spiritual beings. So am I trying to sell you some? Yeah, I'm trying to sell you your soul back. Take sovereignty of yourself and listen to your higher self and ask them, is this what I need to do? Is this the path? Do I need to make this turn? Is this necessary? And I'm hoping that you will reach the conclusion by yourself. But at the same time, with all this cosmic stuff going on, people are confused. So it made mention at the beginning of the chat that there are people that are on the fence on certain things with their spirituality. And sometimes they just, ooh, let me go over here and check this out. And, there are some areas I'd go, okay, have fun. But, if anybody is holding, touching, reading, the Satanic Bible or whatever, no, unsubscribe and back out. Because you must not let your energy be used for any nefarious purpose. People are worried about, Halloween coming up, but then yet they're participating in certain things because they have been led to believe, they have been deceived into believing that this is okay, that we should pursue this avenue of thought, that we should go down this hole over here. Let's explore this. Why? Well, I got this, the book of Satan, the Bible Simon here, and but let me just read a few passages. Click, bye, see you later, Jack. Are you serious? Are you serious? I mean, really, what? So, and some of the other subjects, and that have bothered me and that I have done videos on, like sigils, for example. And there are many of you who agree with me. Don't do sigils. And some of these folks are promoting this. Oh, make your own and put them on a t-shirt and wear them around. And, oh, no, you didn't. Because the shamans of old and some of the Eastern religions in different places would make sand art, okay? And in so many words, they were sigils, but they made them out of sand. different colored sands, swirls, this, that, beautiful. But as soon as they were done, that was the moment of the magic of that symbol or sigil, and they blow the sand away. You don't carry it around. If you go dragging it around and you're wearing a sigil around your neck, you're inviting bad stuff to happen to you. Now, I was talking with a friend today, and I remembered this joke. Now, you know, I try not to cuss. Okay, so bear with me. This is the F word, all right? But this is a joke that I've known for years, but it fits where we are right now. And I've been giggling about it, but, you know, but it's serious. So anyway, here's the joke. Out in the savannah and the plains of Africa lives this tiny bird called the Fakawi bird. Now, the Fakawi bird can only fly 2 feet above the ground. Now, its problem in living is that it prefers tall grass that's at least 3 feet tall. Now, do you want to know what the mating call is of the bird? Where the fuck are we? 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 Let that sink in a minute. So as I thought about this joke, I thought in this time right now, we are a bunch of Fakawi birds who can only fly 2 feet off the ground, but we're in a forest of grass that's a foot over our heads. So what are we doing? We're all saying, where the fuck are we? Where the fuck are we? Where the fuck are we? So anyway, a little bit of ha-ha, LOL, but I find it actually appropriate, you know, which is sort of the odd thing in that, you know, so there are folks who, you know, ooh, there's a clearing ahead in the trees or the grass, and off they go, not knowing that, you know, there's some kind of critter down there that's ready to chomp them, you know. So it's like, it's not necessarily go where the herd goes, but be careful of certain paths that if you don't have enough information, gobble, gobble. And it might be good for the entity on the other end of that particular path. But in the spiritual realm of things, through my own experience and other folks, I mean, let's use Buddha and Jesus just for example. What did Buddha need anything to do what Buddha did? And there were many reincarnations of Buddha, and still are if you consider the Dalai Lama. And so there is a belief in there that we live many lives and we reincarnate. And if we take that spirit of goodness with us, well, if you're going to go down some kind of trail that involves some other kind of thing, and words from somebody that we all know is not on the good side of the equation. Anybody that uses the word Satan and book should just be out. Sorry, you've just crossed my threshold. Now, in one of the card readings I did the other night, I pulled armadillo, and I can understand now why armadillo was pulled as a warning to us. Because there are things, and it said what we do is we should draw a circle. And we should, in the circle, we should put those things that are of great value to us and what some of the goals and achievements we'd like to do and, things in our life and joyous things we'd like to go camping or, skiing or something. And we put that in the middle of the circle. Then on the piece of paper on the outside of the circle, we list those things that we maybe would like to do. And, if perchance, some like wild hair up, like, I'll get to go on a safari or something, something like that. That's a wild hair. But, hey, would like to do it, but, maybe not this lifetime. So, but anyway, but you also put those things that may harm you on the outside, because that's on the outside of your armor, for the armadillo. So you use that as a shield, but at the same time, there are things that we have allowed to come into our inner circle because we have been deceived. But we have allowed these things to come into our inner circle so that when we wrap ourselves up in our little, in our protective ball to keep bad things out, we've actually allowed, a Trojan horse into our camp. And so, uh, what about the soldier that opened the gate and went, "Hey, boss, doesn't this Trojan horse look a little weird to you? I smell Greeks in there, inside, right? So somebody's breathing. This horse is breathing." And but they brought it into the city anyway, as the story is told anyway. And so it's like, the great deceivers. Now, Brian and I both had come to this conclusion. We don't think with the information we had at the time, now that's been updated, that's the reason for this video, in that we were hoping that these people, this person, etc., had kind of gone off the wayside along the way. But then information is that this person has been doing these things since they were 17 years old. Now that changes the whole thing. I've understood this since I was 17 and 18, but I have not been practicing. I don't have any books in my house that relate to anything about spells or Satan or anything like that. They're out of here, burned, not given away. They're burned. But I don't own them. I would not accept them, and I wouldn't accept anything that was attached with that. So what do we do about this? We pay attention. Beware, there are deceivers, but you must be aware of what's going on. So I'm here to raise my hand and say, listen, most of you may know who I'm, the channel. There are a couple of channels actually, but the one in particular. And you must consider what they are deceiving you with. Because Brian and I saw this coming, and I prayed that this day would not come. He's on the other side now. I was actually sitting here earlier today, and I said, Brian, if there's ever a time I could use you for 20 minutes to have this conversation, it's now. I burned some sage, I said a prayer, and I'm here now doing this video to you all. Please share it, okay? Because we can't go there. That's giving up your sovereignty that I talked about in a previous video. We can't give up our sovereignty. And by participating in any of it, I am going to unsubscribe because I was just like keeping an eye on things. And then this came up and I had to say, I can't even be subscribed to the channel now because that means I'm still participating even in the slightest, and I can't have anything to do with that. I'm afraid for the person and those people who have been deceived and who consider, it's uncanny how some of these folks have been deceived. I understand why. They've known him for, been on the channel for years and done these certain things. But like Brian and I discussed, that, we didn't want anything to do with them. But at the same time, we would not speak their name, although we would discuss the subjects to try to point out to folks that, listen, there is a contrary point to this. Before you head down that road and think it's all flowery and good, reconsider. So this is my warning to you, my friends, and anyone who is anyone who is being convinced that this is a good thing. You know what I'm saying? It's not. It's you just went in the ditch. You just might take that old Ford N tractor and drove it in a ditch. You're stuck. And how are you going to get out of the muck? Are you going to keep listening and continue to participate, which will continue to take your energy and sap your spirit, and in so many ways damn your soul because it's the wrong way? You can choose it, okay? But reconsider. Please reconsider. I think this particular person has gone too far. And somebody's got to be the grown up in the room. I hate being the camp counselor, I swear. But they tell me it's my job to bring this to your attention. You must take it to your friends and tell them this, there's something wrong here. Something doesn't feel right. Many of us have had it. Many of us have said no to it a year or more ago. And now things have progressed to the point where I have to step in and say, yep, please don't do that. Please reconsider. Do you honestly know what you're participating in? And I would say that you don't, because if you truly did, then you wouldn't be a subscriber to the channel any longer either. If you, and that's one of the things in the spirituality of things. As you learn through nature, there are certain things in certain areas you just don't cross into. And it's like you can do it if you want to, but for shamans who use quote natural energy, and it's been described as magic or powers. But the idea that, number one, what do you want power for? What are you going to do? You're going to create a thunderstorm. You're going to shoot a plane out of the sky. You're going to create, think negative thoughts towards somebody and basically curse them, which will come back on you tenfold, and your family and your generations. You wish harm on someone else. That stuff will come back in spades on you, your family, and your descendants. Folks don't understand that, but they do it anyway. Oh, curse this person, and that person's a moron, and you keep it up, and you'll find out that stuff, it will infect your relatives and all of your relations, past, present, and to come. So this idea that if in spirituality, it is much more. It is a much higher realm of thinking. And the hard part is to allow yourself to think, allow it to come into you. You don't force it, you just let it. But there are people who are the deceivers. And I mean, it seems like they're like going all gung ho with trying to make converts of people, to take them out of the light and change their frequency to a lower frequency. Why would you do that? What, you're already on a higher frequency level than a lot of other people. So why would you allow somebody to convince you that to move to a lower frequency? Because they said so. Because well, I've been on their channel for years. Trust, if I say something that doesn't resonate with you, now I know I have pissed a few people off over time, but you got to talk about things. I'm not trying to convince you to do it my way, because I'm still figuring that out myself. We all have to figure our own paths out, but to go down certain ways and to use certain stuff and to even read out of certain books is just flat out wrong. And I will continue to pray for you each and every day. I will continue to pray for these folks who appear to be the deceivers right now. And Brian and I trusted some of these folk. And before he passed away, if we could, if he were still in the 3D, and I really feel like his presence is around me now, in that we would have this open discussion. We would do a video. I would have called him up and said, hey, brother, we need to talk about this. Or he would have called me. We had a connection sometimes, and the topic was, it was amazing, the connection we had then. So in that, I'm invoking his name. He would have been against this for your sake and your soul. Okay. I am worried. And for your sake and for your soul, I'm already in my position. I can already see where this leads, you know. So I've reached a particular point of understanding and I cannot go back. But other people who are on the fence or who, like the Fakawi bird, who are in the tall grass and can't see where they're going, you know, everything is, you know, where the fuck are we? Where the fuck are we? So in this spiritualness right now, that's where a lot of folks are. And I'm hoping that they stay off of that side of the fence. And I just think it's important for people to reconsider where their loyalties lie. And I pulled the dog card last night. Now, after finding out some of this information today and so forth, I'm thinking to myself, you know, there is loyalty up to a point. And the dog card was showing us that, you know, and sometimes maybe we're too loyal, or maybe we shouldn't, you know, we should be more loyal. But to the point of this, if someone is seriously, you're going to end up getting beaten at the end of the day spiritually, would you allow yourself to go there out of loyalty? You know, so the fact that I pulled that card, wasn't quite sure why I pulled the loyalty card, but now it makes sense. Jody says, I apologize, but what channel or channels are you talking about in general, if you are willing to say? Apajo, thank you. We tried a sigil. It was a disaster. No more. Look, I'll type it in, but I won't say it. Okay. Okay. Um, not now. I think some of you know who Brian was. Um, I'm having a chat with the self in this discussion. Um, you know, I listened in for quite a while, and I think Brian and I sort of met there. But the fact that, you know, we discussed this at great length off camera, in that it's not that we considered ourselves a higher spirit being, but that we noticed that in trying to be a light being, that this did not register. Oh, is Ian, you said RWS? Yeah, okay. Hi, Fox. How are you? Troy, Jody, Deb, how are you? Um, I attacked you often. Okay. Um, but in that, we have to consider, though, that folks who are trying to pursue different areas. Now, you know, like I said, I have read books in the past and so forth, and when I realized that I was actually partaking in the spell simply by reading it, I went, "Holy crap!" So, in this thing about other folks, we have to make sure that it resonates with us. But in trying to stay in a higher light, of a higher light being state, um, hey Sarah, thank you for your comment earlier. We have to consider, and one of the things that I pray about is that, you know, how did people get these ideas? You know, that pursuing this was that it was a good idea, and to convince people over many years and then start springing certain things. You know, it's like, was this entire thing planned out? I've had to stop and consider that and go, now that just would be really, really, really strange. Uncle Hawkeye, that made me laugh. I'm telling you, Delaney. Um, Someone talked about the praying mantis today. Really? So greetings to all of you and blessings to you. And um, some of the things we can take a hold of ahead of time. We can look at something and go, Pa Joe, I saw part of that. We participated in something for 4 years and it got you nowhere. Yep. Sometimes we go down certain paths and they just absolutely just either lead us into a dead end or lead us into the brambles. And I would rather have a dead end than being in the brambles any day. But with that said, you know, for the Fakawi bird that's flying around in the tall grass, you know, to fly into a big bramble patch would just hurt. Yeah, Miss Tribal, how are you? Este Montfort, pleased to see you. And Michelle, I think I said hello. If I didn't, hello. But anyway, so, you know, we will still love these people. And like I said, I still pray. I really do. And in ways I spend too much time praying that they will, you know, have a turnaround. And it has been absolutely the opposite. So, and my curiosity for myself to you is that whether or not this is even, if this is wasted energy on my part to say a prayer that they will, change their ways and see that maybe they're not on the right path. But for them, it in their heart of heart is that's where it resides. Then, you know, who am I to say, well, your path is the wrong path? But at the same point, it is my duty to say, are you sure that's the path you want? Go ahead. It's free will. But are you aware of the pitfalls along the way? Are you aware of the quantum energy and the attachments to things? Are you aware of these other things that you are not aware of? So in that release, yep. So anyway, I don't want to beat a dead horse, as it were, but it's important. It is so important. And like I said, I've had the feeling of Brian around, several times at different times. And today I actually asked, listen, help me out with this. Because we need, I think he and I both, in fact, I know sorry, I corrected that. He and I both felt this way. And if he were here, we would have, he and I would have this video together and say, please, my friends, we are worried for your souls. Please be careful with what certain people are saying now and how they're trying to persuade you. And my point of view, a little more, is that understand that any participation with this, when you have the knowledge of what they are about and that they are on this other path, it's not necessarily parallel to you and me, by the way. So they're on this other path. If you know that they're over here and you continue to go down that path, even to just follow them and go, I don't know where they're going, but I'm going to see what they're up to. Then see if a snake comes out and bites you, then there you go. Planned out? Oh, I hope not. That would be a cruel deception. I just looked at it like curiosity, and in some cases, knowing your enemy. Yeah, Deborah, that's the realization I had today about, wait, he made the statement on his channel that he's been involved in this since he was 17. That to me suggests a long-term plan in deception. Now, whether it was intended or not, I'm saying he may not have that, may not have been his conscious intent, but it could very well have been a subconscious intent. Okay. So, we have to be careful. I'm sorry, in a lot of ways, I lost respect and honor and some things because, I'm like, okay, there are some things I don't agree with him on, but in general, he's trying to help folks to attain a higher spiritual thing. But then, these other things that Brian and I noticed a long time back now, we said, no, something's fishy here. But we didn't think, and maybe we should have, we didn't think at the time that it was necessary to outing. But now, after these recent events and comments and so forth, it's necessary that we discuss it. I'm not telling you what to do. I would ask you, though, to reconsider. Just saying. The last little bit of respect that I had went right down the tubes, and prompted this video, which is like, really don't want to, I really don't want to go here. But, you folks have become my family and friends, and, and we interact and participate, and you leave comments and interact with each other and share information. And I think that's absolutely a wonderful and gorgeous thing. And to think that someone is trying to deceive my friends who are on a clear spiritual journey to find out who and what they are and to imagine it and realize it and to see it. And to think that someone else is out there, seriously, he got a lot more folks on his channel. Not that I'm complaining. You all folks are great, but think of the sway. Think of the energy that is stolen from people who are just not aware, who are just hanging out, just wanting to find out. But the person doing it in some way, shape, or form has been attached to the book. Okay. And I was talking with a friend of mine the other day about tarot cards and so forth. I tried tarot cards back in the day, and a really nasty entity got attached to the cards. Unbeknownst to me, I was a novice at it. And it got so bad that the cards had to be burned. There was no giving away or doing it. They had to be destroyed. And it was a very weird and creepy thing. And it was early on in my spiritual journey. But I realized that those cards were tainted. And so, but if it hadn't have been for my own realization that, wait a minute, this is leading me in a different direction, the energy and the vibes within these cards. Now, I pull the spirit cards and, dang, if they haven't been too right, it creeps me out sometimes that I pull these cards and they're just right on the money. Or like pulling the armadillo card the other day. And I was like, and it really makes more sense today. So is it a warning? Is it a precognition from the spirit world or whatever? What it is maybe let's just be aware of some of these things. And so what armadillo represents. So let's make sure what's in our circle, what's in our inner circle is those things that we really want. Now, there are times when we periodically need to go look at some of these people within our circle because they may have been deceived. And in that, they have become deceivers, okay? Not necessarily on purpose, okay? I'm just saying. But, when we recognize it, when we see it, then we must say, sorry, I'm going to have to move you out of the inner circle to the outside. Going to have to just put you over here. Sorry about that. I hate it. I do. But you can't stay in this part of the circle now. And I can't recognize you or whatever. I'll wave and say hi. But, am I going to participate? The answer is no. I can't, because of what I know about these quantum entanglements. So in this quantum entanglement, especially now with all this energy and stuff, we don't want our quantum to get entangled with somebody else's that may have, whether on purpose or not, they're being deceived and are dragging a lot of folks with them. And hang on, that's interesting. I talked a couple of videos back about the Braves on horseback, and that the Braves were sent in the 4 directions. And when they came back, there were people that were being dragged behind the horses, and their hair was tied to the horse's tail, and each of their heads were tied together with their hair, and the significance of that. And I see in this, it was like a flash right just then, that there are people who are being dragged by their hair in a way, maybe not necessarily, but they're being drug off the true path, and they're being deceived. And, like, oh, please. So in my horror of horrors, nightmares, vision thing that is like forever on and reoccurring, is this sort of part of what that dream means, that people are being drugged along by their minds are being pulled through their hair, not necessarily, kicking and screaming per se, but the vision with them tied onto the horses was kicking and screaming. But in this, are their minds being pulled in, and are their minds being swayed to realities that just, yeah, they exist, but do you really want to go there? Well, I can have sex and do these things. I can blah, blah, blah. And I can and I'm a god or a goddess, and I can portend, and I'm going to create all these things. Well, that sounds really fucking egotistical to me. I'm sorry, I used that F word. But doesn't it? Well, I got the power of the goddess, and I'm going to create you are? How about let's just stick with angel beings? We are all spiritual beings, angel type beings. We are all made by the Creator, and we are all a part of the Creator. Now, I don't believe in a God, okay? So this idea of God and goddess has always kind of nipped me in the wrong way. But are we all angel beings? The answer is absolutely yes. Of all the things that we can take with us is we are all angel beings. Edgar Casey discussed it in many of his dream states and so forth, and explained it to folks. And that we are reincarnations. And I apparently chose this job before I come down here, so I didn't read the fine print. But to the point, though, that, I still accepted the mission. I'm still here, and I'm understanding more of the mission more and more. It's like, let's communicate this. Let's make sure folks understand, not just a little bit of go like, well, I get it. Do you really? Well, he talked about this and that. No. Do you realize if you participate in something that may be stealing your energy, that if you even say hi in a chat room, that you could be participating with stolen energy because you're there. Your energy's there, your focus is there, you're looking at the screen, AI's watching, and you go, well, does that really matter? It's on a much grander scale of understanding. And I'm not saying y'all are stupid. No, not by a long shot. But in being smart, sometimes we ignore what's right in front of us. We're so damn smart, we can't see it. And it's like, well, wait a minute. Crap, the answer is right there. Holy mackerel. Was looking too hard. So, but in that, and by looking too hard, because we're the Fakawi birds in tall grass, then we must, well, here's the trail over here that might actually be a good one. Let's see where this goes. Maybe this is the right one. When what your little birdie heart is telling you, no, I need to go this way. I heard something over there like another Fakawi bird, and I'm going that way. Well, I heard a noise over here. You did? Well, it was a bear or a lion or something that ate you. Okay. So, but in this quantumness, we must understand that any of our energy is precious to us, and we should share it when we choose to. That's the sovereignty of the spirit that I talked about previously in another video. So we must understand that. So if somebody might mistakenly be siphoning energy off of me, I'm the first thing I'm going to go and say, I love you, my brother. If that's your path, you know, but if you start killing babies and shit, we're going to fight for real. But in that though, I'm sorry, you went down a different path and it is not parallel to mine. There is no parallel in this. And that's one of the things that some folks would understand. Well, but it's spiritual. Is it? What kind of spirit and which way is it going? Well, is it parallel to a lot of others of us who have had this realization that something is amiss in the universe with certain people? And the answer is, whoops. It's time to reconsider. It's time for us to say, wait a minute. And we already did, Brian and myself. And I've had this discussion with some other folks privately, and there is a lot of worry in that the deception, because we trusted someone, but our eyes should be open to when certain subjects are being discussed, and being discussed in such a way that, oh, it's okay for you to feel this way. Seriously? Oh, it's okay to be like this. Really? And you got your hand on the Satanic Bible or the Book of Saints, whatever it is. You got your hand on it. But you're going to talk to me about this? And number one, I would never, ever, ever, never, ever, ever, never, never, ever go near one of them books. If I saw one, I wouldn't even go touch it. I would try not to even look at the cover, okay? And so as soon as I would realize what it is, I'd be trying to wipe that shit out of my head. But for other people to hold it, read from it, discuss it, and then try to tell you that it's okay, it's time for you to sit down and have a great big discussion with your own spirit guide and your own higher self. And you, the angel being that you are, need to say, let me think twice about this. I'm hoping you will come to that realization without me trying to convince you, although I spent an hour trying to convince you. So now, and I did not want to do this video. I swear to you, on my honor, because it's speaking against someone or their opinion. But a line has been crossed, and it's my duty as a shaman in training to point out, maybe that's not the path for you. Maybe you should reconsider. Maybe your compass has gone a little awry. Hi, Maverick Isby. How are you? Let me go back up a little bit. Estee, how y'all doing? Follow your own path and not someone else's. Yeah. Shaman's rule. Yeah. And you know, I really love you too, Isby. Ian, for me, it's Anunnaki passing themselves off as good angels, but it's just a cover. And there's that too. It's on a lot of different levels, but and I don't know. I know Brian and I discussed this. We were curious as to what flipped the switch of, like, you know, here's the path is like really clear and I'm humming along and we're humming along. And then all of a sudden it was like somebody went, slammed on the brakes all of a sudden and said, let's go this way. And Brian and I both was like, what made him change his mind? What, all of this time it was looking good, vibration wise, everything was okay in the universe. And then all of a sudden it was like, whoa, upset stomach. What did you just say? Ooh, upset stomach again. Whoa, wait a minute. Now my ears hurt. You talk about a subject and my ears physically hurt. And so in trying to just lurk in the background, you know, my angels were like hitting me with frequencies that wouldn't even allow me to listen. And I was like, well, now that's interesting, you know. But in doing so, though, but by my keeping an eye on things, um, you know, gotta be, you know, if that's your enemy kind of thing. So, but Brian and I both at multiple times were right up. Did you hear what he talked about? Yeah. What do you think about that? Yeah. Well, blah, blah, blah. Let's do a video. You know, that was sort of how we work sometimes. And so, I just think it's important that, you know, whether it was on purpose or not, the deception is still there. That's the bottom line. Whether on purpose or not, you know, whether, you know, he's actually, you know, working for the other side on purpose. Deborah says, focus your higher vibration of love. Never heard of anyone dying wishing they focused more on hate. Yep. How about that? Thank you for being here, Isby. Yes, Ian, I absolutely believe that. He says, better to have quality than quantity when it comes to how many subs you both have. I absolutely agree about that. I'm so blessed that I have as many subscribers as I do, because my mission was that if there was only 5 people, and Brian was the 7th subscriber to my channel, that goes all the way back to October the 3rd of 2013. So, you know, my channel's been around for a while, more sometimes not, but to the point though. And for a long time, I was looking at other people's channels and I figured that, you know, I had to be all glitzy and shiny. And then I was told, no, you don't. You just need to turn on the camera and talk to folk. But I'm very blessed to have all of you. And I do agree it is quality over quantity. And, you know, the fact that there are people, you know, it is fine to disagree with me, you know, and because I'm just trying to point out another point of view. And maybe, you know, I know there are many ways to help achieve higher vibrations. And at times I've used this one, at times I want to do that one. So it's not like, you know, there's any, I think some people just get in a rut sometimes. And that, like the card I drew, I think it's last night, it was grouse. And that, you know, to do the dance, if that was, maybe that was lizard. Anyway, but the message was that we need to dance, you know, we need to just get up, you know. And Buddha sat for weeks and months and who knows years. But, you know, Jesus, on the other hand, he walked around and preached to folks. You know, they came to him to listen to his message. And he would talk to 3 people, or he would talk to 300 or 3,000 or whatever. So in that, I feel the same way. Not that I am Jesus, but, you know, that it isn't about how many people hear it. If one person hears this discussion and it opens up something in you, then my job is complete. And I'm honored to be the messenger, or, you know, the communicator, the storyteller, you know. Sound like division on the horizon. Yep. Good things come in small packages, says Sarah. I agree. Scratch says, makes me wish I'd taken him up on his offer of having me on his stream. He asked me when he first started. I just didn't fancy going on cam. Yeah, Scratch, I understand. He was looking for people, and I sent him emails and introduction kind of thing. And Brian had been on his channel, and Brian said, you know, I thought he would, you know, get you on, you know, and listen to your point of view, since both of you are old hippie types and drug addicts, blah, 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 blah. And, you know, you should have a lot to talk about. And I identified with that right away. But then there was just something eerie in all of it that I couldn't put my finger on. And now, well, I guess the finger has been shown. Hi, Ed Hagel. He made me feel uncomfortable. Some of the stuff he said. Thank you. And my thing about that, see, it made you feel uncomfortable. So that energy is being siphoned from you, on the quantum level. And so we have to, we just have to say, I can't participate. I won't participate in that. Um, because now that now that it's the face has been shown, would you continue? So, I'm going to continue to try to speak on upbeat things and the opposite of that. Because why would you give up your spiritual energy to come down a rung on the ladder? You know, if you, in using the metaphor of a ladder, so we're trying to reach a higher spiritual level. So you reach a certain level on the ladder, then somebody comes along and goes, "Hey, you want to come down here for a beer or something?" And the next thing you know, you're climbing back down the ladder and you lost what you gained. Bad metaphor, I guess. But what's the metaphor? For cows to graze in. But anyway, um, me on a stream would probably be dangerous to my freedom. Nah, I guess it depends on how you look at it. Thank you, Miss Tribal. There are lots of separation going on with everyone everywhere. And that's sort of this quantum wave thing. It's got everybody fractured. I've discussed this before, not to try to, but in that the subject is important. Not that I've discussed it, but the subject is. And that's that we're all fractured right now because of all this stuff and the chaos and our own journeys. And then there are people that we felt we trusted are, pulling shenanigans on us, and wow, dang gum. Who can we trust anymore with this shit? You know what I'm saying? Well, I was listening to this person and all of a sudden, it's like, holy crap. And I would understand it if I ever went out in left field. Y'all, some of y'all know my phone number. Call me up and say, "What the fuck is up with you, Dave? What's wrong with you, brother?" Slap out of it, because maybe I need it. But in that vein of thought, though, I just continue to try to concentrate on the positive side of things, no matter what gets thrown my way or what energy is trying to bombard me, or uh, you know, uh, anyway, at that, and just trying to do the best I can. And some days are better than not. But the thing is, I refuse to give up, and my heart is in the positive. And so, and those positive things and positive beings or whatever. But there's a lot of critters running around out here right now with this quantum shift and everything handling. I mean, there are, those etherical critters who are being affected by this too, those unseen objects. So, everything's just off the chains. And and the message from a bunch of other folks on higher levels is that we need to, stay calm. And I have mentioned this before, but they're like wanting to literally pound it in my head. We're the ones that are going to be here to pick up some of those fractured brains after some of this is over. But if we allow ourselves to be fractured along with them, then we're going to be like the Fakawi bird and lost in the tall grass. We won't know where to go or what to do or what's where and how or anything. So, but awareness is the key. I'm aware that in that tall grass, I heard a bear. So, and he seemed to be over yonder. So I'm going to use my instinct and say, don't fly that direction. So, as the Fakawi bird. But in that, so with us, we need to be aware. BeWare. The deception is everywhere. It's changing other people's minds. Some people that I thought, well, we were copacetic, going along the same lines, and all of a sudden there's this weird bad energy, this thing here, blah, 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 and da, da, da. Wait a minute. I don't even know where that's coming from. And any kind of remarks in that respect, I'm like, but I wouldn't even think about that type of thing. I wouldn't even go there. Why would I think that, especially upon you? And a friend of mine called me, and I was like, I wouldn't think that. Where did you get that idea from? Well, I don't know. I thought this or I thought that. And I was like, no, I'm not even close to wherever your brain took you. I'm no, that's sorry, but you're wrong, you know. Well, but I feel you've made that up. And whatever entity or however it got into your brain, I didn't do that. Okay. My energy was absolutely opposite of what you're saying. So, however, that convoluted view of me and what I may have said about you or something, hang on, hang on, you know. And, you know, they were just so convinced that that is what I did and said. And that's what I was trying to. And I'm like, nope, sorry, but you're just wrong. But somebody else said, I don't even, these people haven't talked to me in months. How can they say something about me? Well, they said something on Facebook, or you said something in a video. And I'm like, it wasn't you, you know, sorry, you know, I'm apologizing. It wasn't you, you know, but, well, then you must feel guilty about something. And anyway, so I can get myself in trouble, and, you know, and like, just, it'd be so outrageous out somewhere that someone would think that I would wish them harm. I can't do it. I just wouldn't do it. I mean, I can't do it. You know, I get an upset stomach and would puke if I tried to, you know, do any kind of negative energy towards anyone or anything. So as much as I want to, you know, shake my fist at the world sometime and bitch and complain, the biggest thing is though, but then I give it energy, and that's what I don't want to do. So understanding the quantum energy thing, and that my emotions can become a part of the universe with it. My words in defense or opposition or whatever, those words become part of the universe, and my feelings attached with them. And the more I repeat them and the more I become them, then I have sent some nasty shit out to the universe. And I don't want that, because it will come back on you in spades. And as there are some folks who have studied the dark arts and so forth, they say, you know, if you do one dark act, especially out of selfishness. Well, why are you going to do this? Well, because I can take a shortcut in spiritualism. Oh, really? Okay. So that shortcut might come back on you, and you don't even have a clue how it's going to come back, where it's going to come from. But it's because you have put the wrong energy in front of you. And that if that's not who you are truly, then it's just going to muck with you. You know, you're going to be stumbling and falling. Yeah, Sarah says we need to step back and look at the whole picture, not stand so close to the mountain. Yep. Pa Joe, me too. Beam me up one, please, says Isby. All right. Fox says, I'd freaking love a rolled. Yep. Scratch, I'm nosy and people don't like it. I just love learning things that I had no idea about. Yeah, and that's a good thing. But sometimes in certain areas, we just need to stay out of it. But that's why the warning. You're hitting resin. Thank you for telling the bullies to back off. Yes, Pamela, all the time, and blessings to you. Teresa, hi. Something I lack, says Scratch. Project Skyfalls. You didn't know I was live. Well, I am alive, you know. Hey, I'm here, you know. Pamela says, I'm at this beautiful park with no bullies around. Great. Yeah, let's all smoke a joint together. That would be great. Yeah. Scratch. No, I'm finding out things I'm not meant to know about. Yeah, agreed. There are times, you know, it's like one of the things I wanted to find out. I was adopted. And then I found out that my mother was actually my aunt, or my aunt is my mother, you know. And I'm like, what? You know, so they hid all this thing for me and my sister, who we came from the same mother, but different fathers. So we're half brother and sister, but also we're adopted by Arnie and Bessie. And so our brother next in line is actually their son and our cousin. So it's like we knew something was up all of our life, but all we wanted to know was the truth. I mean, we're grown people, tell us the truth. And some of the secrets died with all of them. And then we found out there was another brother that none of us knew about that popped up after Dolores died, my mom. And so it's like, what? Oh, yeah. And my sister, my half sister for real, and this other brother that popped up is probably her natural brother, because the timeline and pregnancies and stuff, they wasn't nobody else that Dolores was hanging around with. But anyway, but in this convoluted story of us and adoption within the family and how nasty grandma was, you know, you find out some dark secrets. And then secrets just sort of pop up on their own. Like, we got another brother. What? What? You know, holy crap. You know, so it's like some of this stuff has, you know, made Peyton Place look silly. It's just, just normal Americans with crazy things that went on in their lives and so forth. But anyway, um, yeah, Maverick, and I'm my own grandpa, you know. 30 in the room, 32. Holy crap. Hi, everybody. SD Project Skyfall. Pass the bowl around. Yeah. Let's all have a collective toke and say thanks to the universe for everyone being here and being as safe as possible, you know, under the circumstances. Yeah, Project Skyfalls. Dominic, hi, how are you? From outer Chicago. Ooh, South Side, or I had relatives up there, Dominic. I've been to Chicago. Um, I really liked it. Not so much the South Side, but you know. Yep, Pamela, your secret's safe with me. Yep, how about that? Chicago South Suburb. Yep, I went through there back many years ago, but anyway, wish we could all live closer. Yep, Windy City. Yep. I was there back in the day when the Hancock building was either the tallest or the second tallest at the time. Um, and now it's like, I don't know, way down the list. But yeah, I thought that was really cool. Was there just before Christmas one year, a lot of snow, and it was like 30, 32 below with a wind chill factor. You know, it was woo. That wind coming off that wind coming off Lake Michigan. Woo wee. Let me tell you. But anyway, I do prefer it down here in the South. Although I found it to be an interesting change to walk around in the snow and slip on the ice and bust your keister and all that kind of stuff. You know, that was a lot of fun. I wished I could have went sledding or something, but anyway. But you know, so in this discussion from you latecomers, we're talking about RWS, okay? And some of you know who that is at your channel. And for you latecomers, we're discussing the fact that some of the topics that he has been discussing has crossed the line in many of us's opinion. And that in this time of deception, there are folks that we have trusted that have now somehow, somewhere along the line, they have taken a different path from us. And some of the things they're trying to convince us to believe is okay. I'm asking you to please reconsider and say, maybe not. Anybody who mentions Satan as a good thing in their videos, you should get out. They steal your energy. They steal your mojo on a quantum level. I don't know how it's being used, but we know there are a lot of folks out there who are trying to compromise our thoughts, our position, who we are spiritually. You know, in my opinion, it's gotten a little out of hand with some people on this idea of the God and Goddess thing. Listen, there are folks who would say, you know, a good morning, Goddess. Well, would you say? Would you say good morning, angel, or would you say good morning, spiritual being, or would you say good morning, brother or sister, or so? But in this idea of the God or Goddess, I think folks have gotten a little overboard. And, the spirits are telling me, you should hear the conversation they're having up yonder. And if I repeated some of the stuff they were telling me right now, it would blister your ears. So, but the understanding that we are powerful beings, but that we are a God with a little g, and that now everybody's a God and a goddess. So, what are you going to do with that information? What does making you a God or a goddess do? Just ask them. Well, it makes me feel like I'm a part of Mother Nature and everything, and the goddess mother and all that. Yeah, we're all spiritual beings. I could have been a goddess in one of my reincarnations. You don't know. You're not sure. In this transition, you are female goddess or associate with that. Now, there are some men who refer to themselves as goddesses. My point. Why do we have to be godlike? It says in the Bible we already are. So now, but the creator is the creator. We are all spiritual beings. But what gives us the right to call ourselves a god or goddess? I know it's a term. I know what, but my point is my personal feelings, and you should hear them yelling at me. It's gotten overboard because everything is God or goddess. I'm a goddess. I'm this. I'm that. They've gone overboard. And it's almost like a trigger word for something else. But my thing is that understand that you are a spiritual angel type being, period. Whether you're a god or goddess, what does that extra information do for you? You ask that to yourself. But I'm a goddess. So does that mean you want everybody to worship you now? Does that mean you want certain powers so that you control people? Or, so the idea of a goddess is that we should all look up to you or them. So, but here's the thing, we should honor and respect each other. So if we all know that we're all angel type beings and that it's sort of a given that from one angel being to another, we should have respect and honor. So do I have to say, well, oh, goddess, well, I might be the goddess next time. You might be the, see, why go there? It's male-oriented gender. It's splitting things up. You understand? When we transform back into ourselves and we realize, oh, holy crap, I've been a man 400,000 times and a female 500,000 times. Holy crap. No wonder I felt like I was having a baby the other day when I was on the toilet. So you think about some of these things and you go, wait a minute. So people are only looking at this slice of time. And it's much bigger picture than that. So should you consider yourself a god or goddess? Can you just stick with angel? Isn't it good enough? Do you have to be the female version? Well, wait a minute. What were you in the last reincarnation? You don't remember. If you did, you might not consider yourself a goddess. You might pick a neutral gender. You know what I'm saying? I'm an angel being. I'm a spiritual being. And what is the power that I possess? The power that I know I am a spiritual being. So what does that get you in the universe? Buy you a cup of coffee? Is it going to give you any special privileges by using those frames or discussing that? Well, I'm a god. Really? See, by just saying that, just in that, I kind of feel like, well, I'm a god, like I'm an Adonis. You should worship me. To me, it just rubs me wrong. Now, I understand the premise of why people try to use that terminology. But again, and they're yelling at me that it's gotten a little overboard with some folks. So we should be aware of that because they wish to convince us all to think the way they do. And it's like, hang on, I get your drift, but just back off. All right. I'm an angel being and I know it. Do angels have certain powers? I'm not quite sure. I'm still learning. That's why I am a shaman in training. I know that when I pass out of this life, Brian's flying around in the universe, right? I mean, but I'm not going to know how that really feels till I get there. So, but the idea that I know it's there. So that gives me power in that whatever happens in this body, Now I'm trying to treat it right and be a higher spiritual being and be a not necessarily an ascended master, but I want to be able to understand those things and those frequencies. And it is my job and duty to share these things in conversations and so forth, so that we all understand. In my book, in my page, it says we all have a chance to go. Every single one of us. We are all equal. But now, if you're a god and you're a goddess, then that's sort of telling me that, wait a minute, you have some other higher authority than just me over here being an angel. Because I could have been female in previous lives, probably was. But to the point, though, is it male or female? Is that a part of the construct? Is that part of the keeping the division, right? Well, I'm a goddess and you're a god. Okay, so there's division right there. And then also you are declaring that you're something other than just a regular, natural, spiritual being. Are you? What classifies you as extra in the God, goddess construct? And that's just it. It's a construct. Because we feel in order to be spiritual, we must be something else. What, you're not satisfied with being an angel being? I mean, that's pretty damn powerful right there. I mean, if you really understand your full potential, you'll understand that the God goddess thing is unnecessary. Follow? It's not. So you're trying to achieve, well, I'm a goddess, so we should look at you now, right? Or you're a god. Okie dokie. You're a little short, fat, but any case, but you're a god. All right, all right. So can we come over and rub your belly there? Well, maybe there's some stank on there from some. Is that Cheetos dip that you got on your belly there, buddy? But you're a god. I got you. You're a couch god. I know I'm being sarcastic as hell, ain't I? But in this, that's where some of this has gotten a little overboard. Understand that we are godlike, absolutely. Okay. But are we the God? Are we the goddess? Let's settle for spiritual being. Be content with it because it's a great thing. Okay. So to declare that we have to be more or that we are is sort of subjective in that you're trying to tell other people, I'm better than you. No, you're not. And when you find out that you're an angel being, not necessarily a God, because you don't really understand the whole construct of it. If you did, you wouldn't use the word. So, people are using things because it's cool and because other people are telling, and it's because it's the deception, okay, to be something other than we're not. When we are already these spiritual beings, we already are. Pay attention, I know. Oh, they screaming at me. But anyway, so this is not meant to offend anyone, I promise you. But there are things and terms and stuff, and we got to look at them and go, wait a minute now. I understand the construct. I understand the concept. But I am not a god or goddess. I am an angel being and very fucking proud of it, So don't cut me any slack. I got this part of it. Now, with that understanding of myself, I'm trying to understand, what does being an angel being, what is that? What is my full potential as a spiritual being? God or goddess, don't care. Forget about it. Because that male, female, division, that ought to keep you from using those terms right there. There is no division if we are all members. We are all members of the League of Like-Minded Beings. We are all members of this giant soul tribe. It's not just with Milky Way, the whole universe, the Milky Way tribe. It's not just us. It's the whole Milky Way. And that was one of the things that Brian and I were trying to convey to folks. It is so much more than what we realize. It is the Milky Way. The whole universe is our brothers and sisters. And so in trying to promote that, but then these other folks have taken these detours, paths, or they have started a construct of deception. I'm hoping was not there all along, but we saw the warning signs over a year ago. And so, you know, I say mine, and it feels like Brian's standing here in the room with me. I can't prove it, but, you know, he's like right here. He's waving and saying hi. But in that, we have my goal, his goal with the channel was to get people talking about their experiences, talking to one another and being open, and what's your experience and how's this and what are you doing and how do you feel about this, exploring other people's their own spiritual adventure and journey, and how we as this league of like-minded beings, how we connect to each other, how we in the Milky Way be the frequency you wish to receive. So in that, you know, this idea of, well, let's segregate the spirits right off. You're a god and you're a goddess. So let's just make that distinction. Okay. But when you get in the spirit world and you find out you've had incarnations of both sides, you're going to go, well, shit, that was a waste of time, wasn't it? But to the point, though, in this information of me, us, and from the universe on so many other different levels, you know, it's not necessary to go that direction. And it is important for us to recognize that maybe some of our energy has already been pilfered by some of these folk, not just RWS, okay, but some other folks and other channels and other places too. And they're trying to deceive you to go down this direction. And it's just like, please don't, you know, they're, you know, it may be okay with them. They may be some type of hybrid that gets along with them. But for those of us who aren't hybrids of that particular ilk, I would say, you know, I can't think of wanting to send harm or whatever. It really upsets me to think that anyone would think that I would send them harm. Just saying. And that I could actually do it is even worse, that I could do it. But all my life, I've tried to settle conflicts by conversation, by trying to be the mediator, which is what my job in this world right now is to try to be, is to be the mediator of ideas and thoughts and spirits. But I am worried for your soul that you may make the wrong choice or think that, well, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, it does. When you understand out of the box, no box ever existed. When you understand the Milky Way train of thought of this, you'll go, oh crap, I can't participate in this person or that person or one over here. They're peddling some false information, and I simply can't be a part of that. Now there's information that you might need to take in. But if you get sick to your stomach, somebody in the chat earlier on said, you know, it just made a meal. And I was like, yeah. So how did you feel? So if you felt that way, then that was your own instincts telling you, get out of here, you know, run for your lives, you know. So, but anyway, in that, it is that important that we recognize that some of these folks don't know how. I have turned there's some of the spiritualness to a different path. And, you know, if you're questioning yourself, then you should ask your higher self this simple question: am I right about this? Now, here's the deal, along with the upset stomach. An old Chinese proverb, maybe it was Japanese, but Oriental type, in that if you make a business deal or you're trying to make a decision, you eat the problem before you go to bed. And if you wake up in the morning with an upset stomach, then that's your answer. So if something doesn't feel right in your gut, that is your soul yelling at you. Don't do that. Okay. But now, if you're so convinced and somehow you might need a farmer to come up like that mule that, needs a little bit of a whap on the head with a 2x4 to get their attention. So I'm sort of like the farmer at the moment. This is my 2x4. This is my format. I'm hitting y'all up with 2x4 going, pay attention. There's some weird stuff going on here, and we all need to be very careful. Okay. Because I am here because I am worried about your souls, other folks' souls. That's why I'm here, because it's to help all y'all in any way, shape, or form to reach a higher spiritual level. On your own, with help, with discussion, that's the reason we're here. That was the reason Brian was there, okay? It was a very important, emphatic reason why Brian was there. And I just couldn't figure out Zoom and the share stuff. I'm still a little nuts in that. But he could figure it out. He did. So he was like my other brother's voice, and we could share and do a live stream together and bring other people in. If I could figure this shit out, I'd invite some of you on. But to my point, that's brain issues here and klutziness of the brain. I'm still working on it. But to the point, though, our feeling about what his mission, my mission, our mission, because I was, obviously a supporter and a friend of Brian, in that what did we want to communicate? What was our mission? That there not to be attached to, things that might hold our spirits down, and to find other ways to enlighten ourselves and to move beyond that. And to, so, but anyway, yeah, it feels like he's standing right here in a room with me, but, let me check what Scratch. I appreciate your concerns and love. You're welcome. Teresa, yes, discuss, learn from our stories and experience, grow and help. Each one of us, yes. Greetings to you, David. Thank you. Hey, Scratch. Shrooms are the mellower version. Acid heads generally need a bit more. Tolerance is tolerance. Yep. Greetings, favorite. Okay, love to all of you, my friend Sarah. Thank you for subscribing, and you're hanging out with us. I really when I get offline sometimes, I literally sit here and I weep, because it's like you all participate with each other. You're paying attention, and I don't mean this rudely, but at least up to a point. And so I'm allowing you to see another point of view, and and you honor me with your presence and your concerns. But this subject today, and it's been on my mind. And any video you've ever heard me talk about being stuck in the middle of the road, the dirt road, and it gets muddy and you turn around and go, I've been talking about, a lot of it has to do with who else. So it's been in my discussions a lot, okay, to speak on the contrary side of things without trying to mention names or trying to poke fingers or these people are stupid or wrong. But I gotta say, as the grown-up in the camp counselor, wait a minute, I think he's gone a mite too far. And you should be aware of it. You still have the choice, okay? But understand the quantum level of this thing, because I guarantee you, them folks who do that are on a quantum level. That's so how they can do what they do. We don't understand it. And that's where sometimes we go, well, it'd be interesting to find out about it. Really? If somebody's going to read out of the book of Satan and you're going to pay attention, really? Okay. Well, it's another point of view. Really, it is. But understand what that point of view is, where it's headed, what it means, the connotations to it. And in no way, shape, or form should you be trying to figure out what them folk mean. Worry about your own soul and where we're headed to in the future. Let's not go backwards on that road, my friends. Getting stuck in the mud with stuff like this is going to be hell on your soul. And in one way, shape, or another, you're going to have to pay for it. And you can pay for it by not advancing. You can go, well, what does that go? Well, I got my paycheck, but there wasn't enough money to go around. So I'm stuck. Can't even go, I can't even drive to the park. Okay. So, but you got paid, you got what you supposedly deserved, right? But you can't do anything. You're stuck. So, in that you might get a paycheck, but you ain't gonna get no, you're gonna still be stuck in this, as far as advancing spiritually. Because, and I can't really explain it to you, but other people have felt it. They have felt that, wait a minute, I think I understand something. I hate to use the word higher, but a little higher resonance than these folk over here. Now, for me and Brian, we talked about this. It seemed like we had passed them on the road, where before we were kind of following along behind them. Everything was hunky dory. Then all of a sudden it was like, we're looking at them in the rearview mirror. How did that happen? Why are they, and we weren't trying to compare ourselves, but at the same time, we were, in that they seem to be stuck on stuff. Where is the projection for the future? Why are you going back to this and sigils and other things and blah, blah, blah? Why are you doing, wait a minute, it's the spirituality thing. We don't need anything but ourselves. We got all the tools we need right here all the time. And it's the awareness of it. That's the power. Well, what would you do with the power? What power? Well, I'm a god or a goddess. I'm going to use the power. Well, okay, so what are you going to do with it? What are you going to manifest? Are you going to manifest a garden for people to go pick, and with no bugs in the garden and no pesticides? Are you going to be like, now I'm not trying to be ugly about this, but are you going to try to be like Mother Earth and plant things for us? What are you going to do with your goddess thing? Oh, okay, so you're a god. Are you going to go sit up on the throne and watch everybody and direct? What are you going to do with this god thing that you say you are now? Well, I don't know, but I'm a god. You see what I'm saying? So what good does it do? Realize we are all shamans in training. We are all spiritual beings, angel type beings, if you want to go there. We are immensely powerful angel beings, okay? Powerful in that when we get out of this, we'll be able to fly around with Brian and all of our friends and loved ones, and we'll understand things like Edgar Cayce spoke about. So understand the much bigger picture. Let's all be safe. I am worried about you, and I'm worried about some folks who are like, well, I don't see nothing wrong with it. That's my point. You don't see anything wrong with it. And that's why I'm worried. Because if you understood the smaller quantum ramifications, you would go, holy shit. And you would, go like that. So enough of that. I love you, my friends. It's been in almost 2 hours I've been yakking here. So Maverick, Dominic, it's good to see every one of you. Sarah, Scratch, Slightly Slanted. Hey, how are you? I'm fixing to get off of here with this subject. Ice Station Z. Oh, oh my God, the prayers and the laughter and the goofiness. Let's fire up that doobie, everybody, and let's all get stoned. Everybody must get stoned. The old Bob Dylan tune, right? Everybody must get stoned. But anyway, so I hate to cut out on you, but I haven't had any supper tonight, and would like to go fix something to eat. I'm hungry, but I honestly thought that this was an important message to get out there now. And if some folks don't understand that, here's the thing: everyone has the opportunity to understand it on their own, but we must be calm, we must be understanding, but explain to them. Are you sure you know what you're doing? That's the question. Because doubt is what we need in this. Well, I don't know. He said it was okay. Well, are you sure? Does it give you an upset stomach? Well, I had some odd feelings about it. Pay attention. That is the spiritual lesson in that. When you feel your gut tell you something's up, pay attention. Are you listening to your spirit guide? Brian and I heard it over a year ago. And it was like, we feel something, we got to stay out of this and we can't partake. So now other people are seeing and feeling it. Follow your instincts, please. Duggar wants to go outside. He's doing okay. Hey, Doug, where you at? I thought I was going to be able to sneak the camera on him. Where you at, Duggar? Come here. Come here and say hi to everybody, huh? There's Duggar. There's my Duggar boy. Hey, Doug. How are you, huh? Sitting there having a live stream of folks, and Duggar wants to go outside and run around. Yep. He does. He wants to go outside. So, and, but anyway, so I have gotten my point across more than once, I think. But it's just so important. It just really is. And I'm sad, I'm sad that there are folks who have this potential and there's going in this other direction. It is sad. I'll still send a prayer that direction, but I got to not focus on the bad things they're doing and say, listen, let's be aware. Let's make sure we stay in the light. Let's make sure we don't be deceived any longer. Let's make sure that we understand the bigger picture and that, whoops, somebody skidded off the track here. Somebody went sideways. And we need to understand that there are times when we just have to say, maybe my loyalty isn't worth the price. Then that's a hard decision, Maybe my loyalty to a person, place, or thing, or whatever, maybe it's just not worth it. So, and if the loyalty to yourself and to your own sovereign being, you owe it to yourself to go, wait a minute. Forget anybody else or that person or whatever. You have to look at, wait a minute. This has to do with me. Holy crap, Oh, holy crap, the stars are brightly shining. I can't go where my spirit is not leading me. Yep. Take care, Sarah. I'm going to say adios here. Good night. Stay away too. Maybe we all pray we can reach divine alignment and total rebalance. Yep. That's my prayer, Sarah, enjoy you being here. Teresa, always. Ian, Project Skyfall's Ice Station Z. It's good to see you in the chat again. And I hate to put anybody down or anything, but Lord have mercy, yeah, Teresa says, I will not be moderating anymore on at least one channel. And that's the type of thing we have to do. We have to say no to not participate. And it's not out that we don't love a person or anything, but we have to remove ourselves from participation with people who are in that arena of spiritual thinking. Okay. We just can't go there. And I love you all. I do. Thank you for your participation. We had over 30 folks in here tonight. I think it hit 32. That is a blessing in and of itself. And you all are wonderful people. Stay healthy. Please, that's easy for you to say. Stay healthy. Stay in wisdom. and stay in the sanctity of your own soul. And be sure you want to follow any, not just this one particular, but anybody who might be trying to suggest you, well, you should try this. This is really great. If it don't feel right to you, please listen. That is your spirit screaming at you. Don't do this. You're going to get in trouble. So anyway, I love you all. Thank you so much. Dominic, Pa Joe, blessings, hearts, and all that. I'm going to make emojis with my fingers, right? Sarah, my channel will prosper. You know, Sarah, because you folks are here, it already has prospered. That's it. Whether anybody, I have asked about sharing this video because I think it's important, and there are folks that we know that maybe should listen to some of this video so they can understand. But I do this lovingly. I do this with caring. And whether anybody else ever subscribes to this channel, I'm totally happy, content, whatever, because it is not about the number of subscribers. It's about the people who need to hear us have a chat and to hear another point of view and to beware of some other people who are trying to deceive us into the wrong areas. So I do love you. So with that said, time for supper, and Duggar wants to go out. I continue to pray that each and every one of you will continue to learn to accept and receive the healings, the knowledge, and the wisdom from the universe. Thank you, Miss Tribal. Anybody else I missed? Scratch, love you. Pa Joe, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I continue to pray that each and every day, each and every one of you will continue to learn to accept and receive the healing, the knowledge, and the wisdom from the universe. And in that law of three, I continue to pray each and every day I do, that each and every one of you will continue to learn to accept, receive, and to share the wisdom, the knowledge, and the healing from the universe. And that you will continue to observe the chaos and to reject it, because that's how we win this fight. When we see what they're up to, we recognize it and we remove our energy from it. The sky beings have been talking about it really heavy lately. The updates that I got yesterday and the day before, all saying the same thing. We're all on track, it seems, with this key point. We got to hold our shit together. Don't turn loose of our spiritual sovereignty and understand, we are the power, the mighty morphin, whatever. But anyway, I love you folks. Have a great evening. We'll see you soon, I hope. And thank you, Bob, for letting me on and to do this video. And thank all of you, honestly and truthfully. You are my family, my extended family, and I do honestly send blessings to all of you. Keep the faith, my friends. It's going to get rough at times, and we just got to hang in there. Remember, we are together in this. Soul Tribe, be the frequency you wish to receive. Adios, my friends. Till next time. Fox, adios. Isby, Michelle, Deborah, David Castle, adios. One of these days, I'm going to figure out how to do stuff, and maybe I can have some of you folks on my channel. I think that would be great. But thank you. I love you all. Thank you so much for what you do, and keep up the good work. And as they say around here in South Georgia, we and TTFN.